They will test you, not with kindness, but with chaos. Some people walk into your life not to build, but to shake your foundation, to press your buttons, trigger your insecurities, and watch how quickly you lose your balance. They thrive on reaction. It gives them a sense of power, control, importance. And here's where most people stumble. They give that power away freely and impulsively. But the real strength, the kind that quietly intimidates, lies not in how loudly you respond, but in your ability to stay unbothered. When someone tries to provoke you, understand this, it's never really about you. It's about the void within them. That need to feel significant by making someone else feel small. The moment you recognize this, you gain an incredible advantage, not over them, but over yourself. And that's the victory that matters most. It's easy to clap back, to throw words like knives, to match their tone with fire. But easy rarely means effective. When you react without reflection, you let them write your script. You become a puppet to their chaos. But when you pause, breathe, and choose your words, or choose silence, you reclaim the pen. You write your own narrative, one of poise, power, and clarity. Control is not about bottling your emotions. It's about channeling them. You're allowed to feel anger, frustration, even the sting of betrayal. But you don't have to let those emotions drive the car. Feel them in the passenger seat, acknowledge them, but don't hand them the wheel. Because reaction is momentary, but the consequences can be lasting. Your dignity, your reputation, your peace. Those are too valuable to trade for 5 seconds of rage. Think about the most graceful people you've admired. Were they the loudest in the room? Or were they the ones who held eye contact, kept their voice steady, and said more in silence than others did in screams? That is elegance, that is control. That is power. In every difficult interaction, you have a choice. You can react in a way that validates their behavior, feeding the fire they're desperate to light. Or you can respond in a way that exposes their weakness, their need to get under your skin, their craving for your attention, their desperation to be seen as dominant. And when you don't give them that, when you simply smile, walk away, or speak with precision instead of passion, that's when they lose. You're not here to win petty arguments. You're not here to teach someone how to treat people. You're here to rise, to build, to grow. Difficult people are just speed bumps. Don't make them mountains. Let them wonder how you stay so composed. Let them question how their words didn't crack you. Let them drown in the silence you leave behind when you refuse to lower your frequency. Because here's the truth. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every insult needs a reply. Not every storm requires you to get wet. You don't owe your peace to anyone who didn't help you build it. So protect it. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. And when you learn the art of choosing response over reaction, you don't just survive the presence of difficult people. You outgrow them. And nothing unsettles the difficult more than watching the person they tried to break glow brighter, stand taller, and move on, completely untouched. They will try to define you, wrap you up in labels, put you in boxes, measure your worth by their standards. Some will say you're too loud, too ambitious, too much. Others will say you're not enough, not pretty enough, not talented enough, not smart enough. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start shrinking yourself to fit their expectations. That's where it begins, the quiet death of your potential. But the truth is, you don't need their permission to be powerful. There's something magnetic about a person who knows who they are. Not in an arrogant way, but in an unshakable way. Someone who walks into a room and doesn't need to announce their worth. Because it's in the way they carry themselves. Their confidence doesn't scream, it whispers. And that whisper echoes louder than any approval ever could. You can spend your life chasing validation. You can bend, break, and bleed trying to make people like you, understand you, support you. Or you can stop, right here, right now, and say, I know who I am. And that is enough. When you know your worth, you stop asking for a seat at tables that were never built for you. You start building your own. You stop fearing rejection because you realize it's not a reflection of your value, but of someone else's inability to see it. You stop watering dead plants. Relationships, jobs, environments that drain you instead of grow you. People who haven't discovered their own worth will always be uncomfortable with someone who has. They'll call you arrogant when you're just confident. They'll call you difficult when you set boundaries. They'll call you selfish when you choose yourself. Let them talk. Their words have no power if you've already chosen your truth. You weren't born to play small. You weren't made to be quiet just because your brilliance makes someone else nervous. You were made to shine, to take up space, to speak with purpose and live with fire. There is nothing noble about making yourself less to make others feel more. That doesn't mean you become unkind. It means you become rooted, grounded in self-respect. You stop performing for applause and start showing up for yourself. You begin to walk with the kind of grace that doesn't need to be explained. You stop explaining your dreams to people who gave up on theirs. Knowing your worth isn't about being loud. It's about being unshakable. It's in the quiet refusal to beg for what you deserve. It's in the way you leave when you're not respected. It's in the silence you hold when you could tear someone down. But choose not to, because you don't need to win in their game. You will intimidate some people just by being yourself. That's okay. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Not everyone is supposed to walk it with you. But that doesn't mean you dim your light. It means you keep shining anyway. Because your worth doesn't come from someone else's recognition. It comes from within. And once you understand that, there is no force, no person, no failure that can take it away. So stop doubting yourself. Stop shrinking. Stop waiting for someone else to see what you already know. You are enough. You've always been enough. And the moment you believe that, you become unstoppable. There comes a moment when you realize that not everything coming at you is yours to carry. People will throw their fears at you, their pain, their insecurities. And if you're not paying attention, you'll start confusing their noise for your truth. But just because someone hands you their baggage doesn't mean you're obligated to hold it. Some people operate from wounds they haven't acknowledged. They attack, belittle, or manipulate, not because of you, but because of what they haven't healed in themselves. Their words are laced with bitterness, their actions wrapped in unresolved pain. And without knowing, you begin to question yourself, did I say something wrong? Am I too much? Not enough. But none of it belongs to you. You are not responsible for someone else's inability to see your value. You are not responsible for their mood swings, their drama, or their chaos. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you choose peace over conflict, growth over comfort, or light over shadows. Their discomfort with your boundaries is not your problem to fix. What people say about you often says more about them than it does about you. When someone calls you selfish for choosing yourself, it's usually because they benefited from your self-neglect. When someone labels you too ambitious, it's often because your courage reminds them of the chances they didn't take. You're a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see their reflection. Learning to separate your truth from their projection is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It's liberating, it's healing, and it's necessary, because carrying other people's emotional weight is exhausting. It clouds your mind, weakens your spirit, and dims your light. You start molding yourself to fit into their broken frame, not realizing you were never meant to be confined. Sometimes people will criticize you just to distract from their own failures. They'll try to make you feel small, because it's the only way they feel big. But the truth is, you don't need to fight them. You just need to rise. You just need to stand so firmly in who you are that their words bounce off the strength of your self-awareness. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are clarity. They tell people how far they can go with you. And when someone pushes against your limits, it's not your job to make them comfortable. It's your job to stand your ground. You are not cold. You are not distant. You are simply protecting the sacred space you've built within yourself. You can be kind and still walk away. You can be understanding and still say, enough. You can have empathy without becoming a dumping ground. Because the moment you start taking responsibility for everyone else's emotions, you lose control over your own. Let them own their pain. Let them walk their journey. You can love people and still not allow them to break you. You can wish them healing and still choose distance. That's not weakness. It's wisdom. It's emotional maturity. It's survival. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to be true to yourself. And that means learning to say, this is not mine to carry. And walking away with your head high, your heart intact, and your spirit untouched. Because your peace, your growth, and your joy should never be sacrificed to soothe someone else's storm. Let them weather it. You've got skies of your own to chase. There's a kind of strength people don't talk about enough. The strength to care without collapsing, to understand without absorbing, to feel deeply but still protect your own heart. That strength is empathy with boundaries, and it's one of the most powerful tools you'll ever have when dealing with difficult people. The truth is, not everyone who hurts you is trying to be cruel. Some are simply broken. Some are acting from pain they've never processed, from wounds they pretend don't exist. They speak with sharpness, not because you deserve it, but because they've forgotten what gentleness sounds like. They push people away, not because they don't want love, but because they don't know how to receive it without fear. That doesn't make their behavior acceptable, but it does make it understandable. And when you can see someone's pain through their anger, when you can recognize their fear in the way they try to control everything around them, you unlock something powerful, compassion. You start to realize that not everything directed at you is personal. Some of it is historical. Some of it is generational. Some of it has nothing to do with you at all. But here's the line that must never be crossed. Understanding someone's pain doesn't mean you let them turn it into your punishment. You can hold space for people without letting them consume yours. You can listen without letting their emotions drown your peace. You can wish them healing while still choosing to walk away. That balance of heart and spine is the real secret, because empathy without boundaries turns into self-sacrifice. It becomes a trap. You get so used to putting yourself last that you forget what it's like to be whole. You stay in conversations that hurt. You tolerate behavior that chips away at your confidence. And you call it kindness, but that's not kindness. That's abandonment of yourself. To truly love others, you have to first protect yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot fix someone else's chaos if it means losing your center. The most loving thing you can sometimes do for someone who is difficult, angry, bitter, or lost is not to argue or explain or fix. It's to stand firm in your truth and say, I see you, but I will not let you destroy me. And that's not cold. That's grace with self-respect. That's empathy with a backbone. It's the ability to say, I care about you, but I care about me too. I will not let your storm become my home. Some people will call that selfish. Let them. They're often the ones who benefit the most from your lack of boundaries. But if you keep softening your edges for people who refuse to be gentle with you, eventually you'll disappear. And the world needs your presence. It needs your light. Not a diluted, quiet version of you, but the whole, untamed truth of who you are. So be kind, but stay strong. Be open, but stay aware. Let your mind lead. Empathy isn't about fixing people. It's about seeing them, honoring their story, and still choosing what honors you. Because healing is a choice. Growth is a choice. And peace is your responsibility. Difficult people might never change, but you don't have to let them change you. You're allowed to care and still let go. You're allowed to understand and still protect your space. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. There's something powerful about being underestimated. Something quietly thrilling about walking into a room where no one expects much from you, and then leaving that same room with their assumptions shattered. Let them doubt you. Let them whisper. Let them laugh behind your back, because that noise, that's fuel. Criticism is part of the journey. The higher you rise, the louder it gets. People will pick you apart, not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of what they're too afraid to pursue. Every time you dare to be bold, every time you speak up, dream bigger, push harder, you become a threat to the comfort zones they worship. And instead of confronting their own limitations, they turn their attention to you. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your ambition. You don't need to shrink to fit into someone else's fragile idea of who you should be. Let your success speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your quiet resilience echo louder than their loud opinions ever could. The beautiful thing about criticism is that you get to choose what to do with it. You can let it crush you, or you can use it, mold it, turn it into drive, turn it into clarity. When someone says, "You'll never make it," don't argue, prove them wrong. Not with words, but with work. Let your life become the answer to every question they threw at you. Rejection isn't the end, it's redirection. Closed doors teach you more than open ones ever will. The no that hurt you yesterday could be the reason you build something bigger today. And the people who said you weren't good enough, one day they'll watch you from afar, wondering how you did it. You don't need revenge. You don't need applause. You just need to keep showing up for yourself. When the world doubts you, that's not the time to sit down. It's the time to rise, to train harder, work smarter, protect your vision like it's sacred. Because it is. Your dreams don't need validation. They need action. They need patience. And they need you to believe in them even when no one else does. You will fall. You will fail. And people will love to point it out. Let them. Every failure is a blueprint. Every mistake a lesson. You don't rise in spite of your setbacks. You rise because of them. Every bruise, every scar, every silent night spent questioning your worth. It all adds up. It all shapes you. So don't hide your fire just because it makes others uncomfortable. Don't lower your standards to make people stay. Don't apologize for wanting more. You weren't born to tiptoe. You weren't made to live on someone else's timeline. You are here to break ceilings, not sit beneath them waiting for permission. Let your critics become your greatest teachers. Let their doubt sharpen your focus. Every time they try to pull you down, use that tension to catapult yourself forward. They may never admit it, but deep down they see your power. And it scares them. That's the kind of fear you never need to carry, because your light was never meant to be hidden. And their opinions, they're not your reality. They're distractions, loud, fleeting, powerless without your attention. So move forward. Not out of anger, not out of ego, but out of purpose. Let your journey be so loud that their noise fades in comparison. Rise, not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were always capable, always worthy, always destined for more. There is something extraordinary about walking through life knowing exactly who you are and not needing anyone to confirm it. Real power doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for applause. It simply exists, calm, unwavering, undeniable. That kind of power doesn't come from being the loudest in the room. It comes from being rooted in your truth, grounded in your purpose, and unapologetically present in your own skin. When you truly know who you are, the need for validation disappears. You stop seeking approval from people who don't even understand your path. You stop molding yourself to fit into someone else's narrative. You stop looking over your shoulder wondering what people are whispering about you. You realize it doesn't matter. Because when you're aligned with your purpose, their opinions become background noise. And let's be honest, validation is addicting. It feels good to be liked. It feels good to be praised. But if your self-worth is tied to someone else's applause, you'll spend your life performing. One misstep, one silence, one disapproving glance. And suddenly you're questioning everything. That's not freedom. That's prison with invisible walls. The people who leave a mark on this world aren't the ones who waited to be told they were good enough. They're the ones who got tired of waiting and decided to crown themselves. They're the ones who kept going after every rejection. They're the ones who stood tall even when they were standing alone. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You can speak softly and still move mountains. You can walk into a room with quiet confidence and change the energy without saying a word. That's the kind of strength that can't be taught, it's earned. Earned by falling, getting back up, and realizing your value wasn't lost in the process. There will always be people who won't understand you. People who misjudge you, dismiss you, underestimate you. Let them. It's not your job to educate every critic. It's your job to keep evolving, to keep creating, to keep rising. The more time you spend trying to prove yourself, the less time you have to be yourself. And the world doesn't need another filtered version of someone else. It needs the raw, real, fearless version of you. Standing in your power doesn't mean you never doubt yourself. It means that even in moments of fear, you choose courage. It means you listen to your intuition louder than you listen to other people's opinions. It means you trust your process, even when no one else sees the vision. You become unstoppable when you stop asking for directions to places you were born to discover on your own. You become untouchable when your peace isn't tied to someone else's behavior. You become unforgettable when you move with purpose instead of permission. So don't wait for someone to clap for you. Clap for yourself. Don't wait for someone to open a door. Build your own. Don't wait for someone to tell you you're worthy. You already are. Not because someone else says so, but because you exist. The world may not always recognize your power, but that doesn't make it any less real. Keep showing up. Keep speaking your truth. Keep walking like the ground was built just for you. Because you don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to be. And that in itself is more than enough.